IELTS speaking topics and sample answers. Hello there, my name is Ben Worthington. In this tutorial, I'm going to go through a very recent cue card or whole IELTS speaking task 1, task 2, task 3, all the tasks, the whole exam from beginning to end. And what I'll do is I'll just lift my hand when I'm saying something that I think would be of value to you. So it's going to be one of three things. One is sort of like a universal expression that I think you could just pick up, take, and use basically for any speaking exam. The second one would be like higher language, which is going to higher level language, which will help you score better in the exam. And the final one would be when I'm using not a special technique, but a useful technique. For example, I might be giving an example, or I might be contrasting two different ideas, or I might be using something from the future. Okay? I might be referencing something in the past or something in the future, but just as a general summary. One, I'll be using a higher level language. I might go like that. Two, I'll be using a technique. And third, I'll be using a phrase that you could use. So let's get started. We've got the questions in front. So what is your full name? Hi, my name is Ben. My full name is Benjamin, but people call me Ben. Yes, here's my ID. We'll just go quickly through this. So, do you work or study? Actually, I do both at the moment. I'm studying a PhD in linguistics, and I also work down in the centre, just a normal administrative job. Yes, I had a little bit of training before doing the admin job. I worked in my uncle's office, which is a few years ago, back in my hometown city. Okay, will you need training in the future? For where I want to go in the future, I probably will need training. Ideally, a tenureship or working in a university. My ideal situation would be working with some famous professors and some famous experts in my field and working alongside them. And not in the administration job, of course, but more so in the academic field that I'm pursuing at the moment. Do I like rain? Actually, to be honest with you, I completely adore the rain. This might sound a little bit crazy, but I'm from England, so I came to make peace with the rain. A lot of people despise it, they grumble about it, but personally, I came to accept it. And interestingly, actually, now when I'm studying or when I'm reading, I will actually go to YouTube and put sounds of rain because it just calms my mind and it helps me relax a lot. So yeah, I do thoroughly enjoy the rain, at least the sound of rain. Does it rain much where I live? It rains quite a bit, actually. For example, I mean, we often joke in England that the summer is from Monday to Thursday. That's the summer. But it does rain a lot because where my specific hometown is, there are hills on either side. And what happens is the clouds come in from the coast and they get trapped in this valley, and the clouds do not go until they're completely empty, and that obviously means emptying them around my area. So yes, it rains a lot. What I dislike about the rain is that it takes a lot of time to prepare for the rain if you're going out. So you have to put on your shoes, you have to do the laces, you can't just slip on a pair of trainers. You have to do the laces, then you have to get your coat, then you have to get your hat and maybe an umbrella. And for me, I dislike all this preparation. I much prefer just to like go direct, fast, and quick. It's just personal preference. That's all. How do I like to read about the news? In a newspaper or online? Well, to be completely honest with you, I don't read that much news. And the reason is because I personally don't think it will affect my personal life, my day-to-day activities as much. Well, I don't think it will affect them at all. So I don't read that much. I prefer to focus my attention or spend my time doing things that will affect me on a more personal level. Maybe it's a little bit selfish, however, it works for me. I find that I'm able to attain my goals, and honestly as well, I find the news tends to have a more negative slant on it. So I prefer just to read other material. If I do happen to read the news, it'll always be online. I hardly ever read the newspapers. I dislike them. My cue card, thank you. Okay, talk about a book. Read recently, find interesting. What was the book about? What did I like about the book? Why did I choose it? Okay. I'm going to give you a talk about a book that I recently read. The book was called Autobiography of a Yogi, if I remember correctly, and it was written by a yogi called Yogananda, and it basically tells his story about him growing up as a child in his family in India. I think it was in rural India, and how he basically followed this spiritual path and his growth while he was on this path, and the challenges, the experiences that he encountered. I really enjoyed the book because it gave me a very interesting insight into India. And it's a country that I'm fascinated by, but I learnt a lot. I learnt about the ashrams, I learnt about the diet, I learnt about different types of yoga, the Kriya Yoga, the Ashtanga Yoga, and more than anything, I was really inspired by his tenacity and determination to reach his goal, and also his ability to learn. For example, he was really hell-bent on going to India. He was really determined, not to India, to the Himalayas. He really felt that he had to go away, spend some years there, meditating and doing yoga to get to the next level. But his yogi, or his mentor, kept on persuading him not to and telling him that it wasn't really necessary. But he persisted. Eventually he did get there, but he only went there like visiting, if I remember correctly. So why did I choose this book? Well, I chose the book because at the moment I'm trying to get into yoga. I'm trying to get better at this practice, and I find that if I read something as well as doing the physical activity, as in like completely immersing myself into this discipline or this new subject, I find it a lot easier to keep motivated. And plus, I'm usually going to be around sort of like similar-minded people, so I can talk to them, I can connect with them about certain topics in the book, and there's a bit of an overlap as well. So basically, it's just to strengthen my knowledge, to go a bit deeper, and to also get familiar with the terms. And also, I found that, for example, in the yoga studio, there's a lot of physical work, but not that much theoretical work. And I like to engage both disciplines or both aspects just to deepen my own learning. And this is the same when I was playing football, when I was doing martial arts. I like to learn the theory and also, of course, do the physical, just to give myself a better, fuller understanding. So that was my small presentation about a book I've recently read, and yeah, I strongly recommend reading it if you're interested in that field. Yes, I would recommend it to other people, especially the people, like I said before. I'd recommend it to the people at the yoga studio, my friends, because they're interested in this topic as well. You could say that they are on a similar path. I wouldn't recommend it to certain other people. For example, my dad. I'm not saying that my dad is closed-minded. I'm saying that he's a little bit more traditional, obviously from a different generation, and he generally views this stuff with a little bit of skepticism, and he'd probably just call it poppycock, as he would say. So yes, I definitely recommend it to certain friends, but to other people, probably not. I think sometimes the movie can be definitely better than the book, can be in certain instances. However, in my personal opinion, just from the top of my mind right now, I'm thinking of a few books where the written version absolutely blew away the movie. For example, War and Peace. Love and War, Love and Peace. War and Peace, sorry, the Russian book. That was amazing. And then I watched the series afterwards, and it was terrible. There was no connection between the characters that I created in my mind from reading the book and then the characters that were showed in front of me. So I think occasionally maybe the movie can be better, but in my personal experience, I found that the book is often better. For example, also with the movie The Beach, I found the book considerably better. With Lord of the Flies, the book was considerably better. So probably actually I would say the books are better than the movies. Would I read a book before watching the movie? That's difficult to say, because usually I don't consciously decide. So for example, the movie is sort of like maybe a suggestion by a friend, or maybe it's just whatever's been suggested by Netflix, and likewise with the book. So I won't make a conscious decision to do one before the other. So it's difficult to answer that, but from personal experience, I do find that generally I read the book first, then watch the movie, because generally speaking, the book is more enjoyable and more interesting and more vivid than the actual movie. Do I think that producers and movie directors are restricted in creativity compared to the book writer? Absolutely. They are absolutely restricted. The reason is because the character you've got free roam with the character in a book. Whereas with the movie, you have to find a physical human person who fulfills all those characteristics, and even then, that they've got to play the role, they've got to get into the role, and it might not be a perfect match between what you've got in your mind and what the actual person is capable of doing. And sometimes I think that some good movie directors are aware of this restriction, and sometimes they might, for example, alter the script to take into account some of the characteristics, the physical characteristics or the attributes of a certain actor. I think this happened in The Godfather. I was reading about it yesterday, but I think this happened with The Godfather because on the set there was a security guard. He got drafted into the play, and then they altered the script because this actor they drafted in was very nervous. So they made it part of his character actually in the movie. So to answer your question, sorry, they're probably more restricted. Okay, and yes, I think I've already said why I think it is so. So that's it for this sample answer. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got a lot of value. You will be able to download the transcript. I'll put a link to that. You could have seen sometimes that maybe I went slightly off topic, but what I did is I tried to bring it back, and by bringing it back, I sort of like, to bring it back, I would rephrase the question or just say the question again to remind the examiner that I am on topic. I just went slightly off, but I came back. Also, I gave contrasts. You know, I talked about my friends at the yoga studio. I talked about my dad and the contrast there. So I'm invoking sort of like two different characters, two different points of view. And also when I'm invoking this contrast and giving examples of both, and it's giving me the opportunity to expand my answer. And also with most of my questions, I gave a reason. I said, and this is because. And also, I tried to steer it to something that I was passionate about. Not passionate, but at least something that's top of mind at the moment, that's interesting to me. I also tried to tell little anecdotes and little stories of, like, for example, my dad, I know that he would consider this all woo-woo. He's a bit more traditional. So I tried to just give that small, tiny little anecdote, that example, just to demonstrate my point. So yeah, don't worry about this exam. If you're preparing for it and you go in there confidently, you will get the grade you want. And remember, this is your opportunity to shine. This is your opportunity to show the examiner what you've got and your ability. So go in there confidently and smile. I hope I was smiling, I can't remember. But go in there confidently, sit confidently, and trust me, it will not be as bad as you imagine. All the best. Go to IELTSPodcast.com if you want some more help with this, if you want some more guidance, or if you want to find some more mock speaking exams. We've got mock speaking answers, mock speaking questions, and all the rest of it. So hope you enjoyed this video. If you've got any suggestions, leave them in the comments, and have a great day and all the best with your IELTS preparation.